Our first guest on the show is the number one person in my life. She's a vegan recipe developer, a plant-based dietitian, and an Ayurveda enthusiast. Her hilarious, fun, and entertaining videos steal our hearts every single week on Instagram, and her recipes make our mouth water. My first guest is none other than my wife, my love, my everything, my soul, Radhi Shetty.
Oh, thanks.
I love you.
That was a nice intro.
Thanks for doing this.
I didn't pay him to say that or make him food to say that.
Thanks for doing this for me.
Thanks.
I'm
Thanks
so
for having
glad.
me as your first guest. I'm
I know.
excited.
I'm so
What are we
glad.
going to talk about?
So as you're going to find, one of the first things people always ask us wherever we are is if we're brother and sister.
Yeah, that happens all the time. Even if we're like holding hands or walking in a couple way, people will be like, hey, are you guys brother and sister? Are you related? And we're like, would that not be really weird right now if we were related?
Yeah,
But,
we're holding hands when you're like lying on my shoulder when we're
On
on
a
the
plane, yeah.
But definitely not related, no relation.
any way.
The eyes are not exactly the same color either.
No.
So the way we thought we'd do this is we asked some of our friends to pick out things that they think you'd all like to know about us. So I'm going to go through the topics that we have here. And so the first thing that they asked us to talk about is, how did we meet?
Okay, so how did we meet? Do you want to tell the story?
No, you tell it.
No, it's okay. You can tell better.
Okay, I'll tell it.
Okay, yeah, you tell it.
Okay, so the first time I actually met Radhi was before I became a monk. And I met her very briefly. I thought she was beautiful and attractive, but I didn't really think anything of it. Like I genuinely just was so focused on what I was doing at life at that time. And I was so spiritually inclined and spiritually focused that I literally didn't think anything of it.
Yeah, and my mum introduced me to you.
Yes, so I should tell that story.
Yeah.
So actually, I met Radhi's mum even before I met her.
Yeah.
And so I was training to become a monk, and I met Radhi's mum, and I was asked to show her how to do a particular service at the temple. So I had to take her around, etc. Now, the incredible thing about this is that is the only time
You ever asked?
while I was there that I was ever asked to show another person how to do this service. So the one day that I had to show someone how to do this particular service, this voluntary service at the temple, was
my
the
mama.
one day that her mum turned up. And at that time, I didn't know she had a daughter. I didn't know anything about this lady. I was like, oh, she's around my mum's age.
Yeah.
And she was wonderful and we got along, but I was just showing her what to do and then literally didn't speak to her.
No. And then my mum wanted me to get more involved in, and I really wanted to get more involved in like the spiritual side of my life. And so she met him and wanted me to get introduced to the youth community there. And so she passed on my number to you, but you passed it on to your sister.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I passed it on to my sister. I was like, no, I need to stay focused, do my thing. And my sister's very spiritually inclined too. Big shout out to Amy. And then you guys got connected and you became friends.
Yeah, and actually at that point, my mum had said to me, oh, I met this really nice guy at the temple. And she was like to me, oh, after I met him, I prayed. And I was like, oh, I hope my daughter meets somebody like this. I know he's going to be a monk, but I hope she meets someone that's like this because he seems really nice. Little did he know what was going to happen.
And then, go on.
And then what happened? He became a monk. Mm-hmm. I heard you speak. Oh, I heard him speak all the time because he used to do lots of youth programs or university talks. And so,
sessions on philosophy, meditation.
Yeah, philosophy, meditation. And I was just like, oh my gosh, he's such an incredible speaker. And the way that he makes such incredible wisdom so relevant to us who were like young teenagers or not young teenagers.
You weren't a teenager.
I was a teenager. I was still a teenager.
No, you weren't.
Was I 18?
No, you weren't.
No way. How old was I?
One thing you're going to realize throughout this whole interview
bad
is
at
that
time.
I'm the one who remembers all the dates. I'm the one who remembers everything.
Yeah, I don't remember anything. I barely remember things that happened like 2 years ago. So no, I wasn't a teenager. I was out of university, which feels like a long time ago. So I was in my 20s and I saw him speak and I just thought it was so incredible how he was able to articulate such deep wisdom in a way that was so relevant to people who were so young and probably wouldn't have been so interested in reading a book about it. And so I was in awe of him and he also looked really cool. He had like a bald head. he didn't look like the type of person who was going to be speaking about these things. He had like tattoos and a bald head, but then he was in robes. And I was like, this is really, really cool, but weird at the same time.
You're so strange.
Yeah.
And then when I left being a monk, which is a whole story in itself, we can talk about that another day. When I left being a monk, her and my sister were really, really close.
Yeah.
And me and my sister are really, really close. I trust my sister. She's one of my best friends. And I sat down with her one day and she said, well, you know what? Radhi likes someone. And I was just like, oh, who? And I was thinking she was going to say some other person's name. And she's like, she really likes you. And I was like, oh, I really like her. Like, I'd love to get to know her better. And we'd interacted. We'd got to know each other a bit better because we'd organized charity events together, etc. And so I'd seen her not in the role of being a girlfriend, obviously, or someone that I was dating. I'd seen her interact with other people, other humans, inside a project management organization, organizing events. So I'd seen her personality and like observed how she behaved around certain people, how she had talked to people, how she interacted with people. And based on all those things, I thought she was a great person. So when my sister told me that, I was secretly quite happy as well.
And I always heard about him through his sister, and his sister would talk about him with so much love and affection, and he treats her like she's his baby. No matter how old she gets, she's literally like his baby. And I used to see like conversations between them. I used to be like, oh my gosh, he's so sweet. Like, he's so sweet, even though he's gone off being a monk, but he was still really, really caring and loving towards his sister and his family. And then, I had told her that I liked him before he knew about it, or before you'd probably even thought about it.
Yeah. So then that was it, really. That's how we met. We almost met before I became a monk.
We hadn't really had conversations,
etc. Never had conversations, never spoke, but had just seen each other in our own elements.
Yeah.
And then when I left being a monk, later that year, we started going out. And so that was around towards the end of 2013.
And then it just went really fast. We both kind of, as soon as we spoke about it, we both knew that we wanted to be with each other, and we were really certain about it. And it could have gone really wrong, but we were like, we could have both been really crazy. But it ended up just working out. We both really had kind of understood each other just by observing one another, I guess. And there were a few surprises, I'm sure. But we got along straight away, and we were both pretty much went from, I really like you, to, I love you, in like a day. And then it was like, we want to get married in like a week. As in, we didn't get married in a week, but we said we wanted to get married eventually in a week after that. And then we ended up spending a lot of time at each other's homes, right? He was spending a lot of time at my house for ages. That's pretty much where I took him to have all of our dates, because I loved being around my family, and I was like, best of both worlds. I can be around the person that I want to spend the rest of my life with, and the people that I've spent most of my life with. And so, most of our dates would involve my parents and my sister and my brother-in-law at the time. And so we got to know each other kind of in our own environments as well, really fast, which I think helped us fast forward a lot easier.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I remember that my sister gave me like an action plan. She's like, this is what you're going to get along on. This is what you're going to struggle with. This is going to be your challenges. And I definitely owe it to her to bring us together. Like, I think she was a huge part of us being together, my sister, definitely. And she was like, because she knows me so well, and I feel she got to know you well as well. She was just like, this is what you guys are going to agree on. This is what you're not going to agree on. This is, and it was so nice to have that. Yeah. Because you could go into a relationship having more understanding of the other person.
Can I just say, one of the things she said that we wouldn't get along on is Bollywood, because I loved Bollywood songs and films at the time. But you like a good Bollywood song.
Questionable.
Once in a while.
Questionable. But I decided to get over that.
Yeah.
And you barely, you've got to go over it.
Still have a love for it.
We spent a lot of time at each other's parents' homes and with our families, which was great because you had to be yourself. I used to love what your mum used to tell you.
My mum was so funny. So obviously, like, it was a person to her that was, we were dating. And so usually you would put in a lot of effort in the way that you dress and doing your hair when the person you're dating comes over. But I would literally be in the same clothes that I was wearing like the whole day, which was pretty much like pajama bottoms and a really scruffy top. And my mum would be like, do you not want to maybe, put a different top on, or you don't want to change your trousers? I was like, no, mum, if he can't love me in what I'm wearing right now, which is what he's probably going to see me in for the rest of his life, then it's just not meant to be. Okay. He has to love me and she'd be like, okay, but you could try, a little bit. I was like, no. And it worked, so.
Yeah. And she's so beautiful and cute. Like, even when she's dressed all hobo chic, I'm just like, I love it, And it's quite nice, actually. Like, I genuinely believe this. Like, I've rarely see her with makeup on.
Yes.
And so,
true.
like, it's fun when you fall in love with someone based on who they are and their personality and their energy, and all of that beauty shines through. So, yeah, I love you. So that leads us nicely on to the next point that our friends wanted to discuss, which is, what's the key to starting off a relationship well?
What's the key to starting
it off well? So one thing for me was this, that because we didn't see each other in dating environments a lot, I feel like dating environments put this pressure of being in an interview. So I compare dates to interviews. It's almost like you have to put your best foot forward. You wear your best clothes. You try and say all the best things. And even if it's not the best, actually, it's us trying to be right. And that's what we do in interviews. When you go and interview for a job, it's like you want to be the right fit
for that person.
Yeah, and that's what happens in a dating scenario. Like, you're sitting opposite a desk, just like you do in an interview, and then someone's asking you a question, and you're like, okay, well, what do I have to say to make them like me or to say the right thing? Whereas we didn't really get to do that.
No.
And I'm not saying that was a conscious choice, but now when I look back at it and I reflect on it and introspect on it, I'm like, we didn't really get an opportunity to date in that sense. And that means that I got exposed to the real her, either by seeing her in a charity organization, seeing her in a real life scenario, how does she treat normal people, and then how she is with her family. And I'm like, that's the best view you can get of someone. And so when I look at that in terms of giving advice or tips or whatever, my recommendation is be around people that you're thinking about being with in an environment where they're just being themselves.
Yeah.
Because chances are, if you like them the way they are when they are with other people, then you're likely to love them when they're with you too. And so often we only see people that we are considering being romantic with or dating with, etc. We only see them in dates and dinners and movie nights and whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I feel like and also seeing people with the people that they're closest to, because you can't really fake it with the people that you're closest to. I mean, and if you can, you could do it for a really short period of time. And you also end up seeing them being probably at their worst and at their best, because you can be the most loving to your family, but you can also be the worst person towards your family because they're the ones that accept it. And so, yeah, I feel like you get a good image of who the person is through interacting with them that way.
Absolutely, yeah.
Good point.
Thanks.
Nicely said.
It's true, yeah. And the other thing is, so when we first got together, I'd left being a monk probably like 7 months before. So it'd been like a 7-month gap. And I didn't have a job. I had no job. I had no money.
No.
I was getting rejected left, right, and center from every single place that I was applying to, because I'd been a monk for 3 years and no one wanted to hire someone who had monk written on their resume. Like, no one's like, oh yeah, I would love your transferable skills. Like, like, what do you know? And so, oh, you can meditate for 4 hours. Great. We need that in our organization. So it was just, I had nothing really.
Yeah.
And that's a great way to start dating someone, because I remember I used to save up. So I used to like try and work part-time and I was doing everything I could.
You were tutoring.
I was tutoring. So I would be tutoring young people for their exams or university exams, etc. And I would be making like, £15 an hour or whatever it was. And I remember I'd save up so I could take her out on a date at the end of the month, and so that we could do something fun. And I loved that because I met her at a time when I had nothing, and she accepted me for it.
Yeah.
And I love her for that. And also her parents were always really cool about it. So sometimes that can be a big pressure from parents and expectations, but her parents were really cool about it. They never made me feel uncomfortable about it or anything. And my parents obviously were very comfortable with me. They were just like, follow your heart, do what's right for you. Very, very encouraging. And I don't come from a well-off background at all or anything. So it's not that I had a backup plan, but my parents were still very, very encouraging and supportive.
Yeah, I that was never in my mind, to be honest. I knew I wanted to be with you, and so I was like to my mum, even if we end up living in a really tiny house, just by like near the temple that I used to go to, and just I know that I want to spend my life with him. So whatever it ends up being, and you were really, really enthusiastic, and you had so much purpose, and even from the beginning, like you were so driven to do whatever you wanted to do. I didn't know what that was at the time, but you were so driven that I just knew whatever it was, whatever we were meant to be was what was going to happen. And I knew you were always going to be there to take care of me, and I felt that from the beginning. Like I always felt supported. You want to hold hands? Yeah, I'm not good at PDA, so I'm going to not do that.
Oh my God, just been rejected on camera.
There you go. Yeah, so that was it was really nice, and I feel like he had a lot of the qualities that I always felt. I would always grow up saying, oh, I really want a husband that was like my dad. Like I love my dad, and he was always someone that I felt very protected and supported by. And so I definitely, now looking back at it, I felt those qualities in him as I got to know him. And so I thought, yeah, that was nice. And my parents didn't carry that. I always thought it would be, you always think in Indian families that's going to be an issue. But they loved him from the start. He's got really good, I don't know whether you guys have noticed, but he's got a really good way of saying things and winning people over by his words. So
it's real though.
I know, that's why it's genuine and it's sweet. So from those interactions, I think my parents trusted him very easily as well.
Yeah, I really get along with your parents.
I know. Yeah, and it was so great for me because Amy was already like my sister, and me and your mum got along straight away because we bonded over food. And so, yeah, it was really easy for us both to join into each family.
But yeah, another thing I think that's really important at the start of a relationship is self-awareness and setting expectations. So I feel that having done the work as a monk and having been through that experience myself, I'd gained so much self-awareness. So I was really aware of what type of partner I needed in my life. I was really aware of what I needed in my life to flourish, to thrive. And so when I met someone, it was very easy for me. It was very easy and simple for me to communicate my expectations to her and be like, I remember one of the things I said, and this is not offensive at all. It's genuinely how I felt at the time. And I said that if you want a husband who goes to IKEA on the weekends and to the cinema, like I'm not that guy. And I didn't mean that as a bad thing if anyone is that. What I meant that as is I want to be someone who lives a life of purpose, and I want my life to be about service, and I want my life to have an impact on people's lives. And I need a partner that's going to understand that, embrace that, and roll with that as well, and wants to live not a normal life, because that wasn't going to work for me if I really wanted to have an impact, if I really wanted to make a difference, if I really wanted to serve. And so that wasn't an ego thing. It wasn't me thinking I'm better or above or special. It was me saying, this is a priority for me. Mm-hmm. And I don't need it to be your priority, but I need you to understand it to be mine. And I think this is really important, that we should feel that if we're genuinely committed to something, when you make someone aware, and same back from her side too, like when she'll share hers, but when she's made me aware of what her priorities are and what's important to her, you start respecting what's important to the other person rather than expecting them to trade theirs, right? And that's usually what happens in relationships in the beginning is, instead of showing respect for the other people's passion, you expect them to change their passion for yours or compromise and be excited about your stuff. And I don't think that that's the right way. I think it's us being clear about ourselves, communicating that, and then respecting what the other person communicates.
And I think we discussed that really early on, actually.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
Just to be clear, he has come to IKEA with me on the weekends.
And movies too.
Yeah, and movies too. But yeah, no, I understood the point of it. And I remember at that time when he was really pushing for what he wanted to do, he was very, very busy. And so there were certain things, I mean, he spent a lot of time with me and my family, but we had just agreed that, look, if there was extended things that I had to go to, because with families, there's always other things that you have to go to, like family, friends, or relatives' houses for every event possible. And if that happened, then I knew that I was okay with him not coming to them. And I said that to him from the beginning.
You're
that
amazing as well for doing
if you need to go and do something which is, I know for you, more important, not because for the purpose that you want to live, then I totally understand that comes above you just coming to another party, which people are not probably going to remember. Like it's okay. And I think that was actually really important for us, because you can always hear what other people say, like family members or friends or whatever will always have a different opinion. And so as long as you feel like you have discussed it and you really understand that person's point of view, then you don't feel kind of it doesn't rub off on you when people say things because you understand it deeply. Whereas if you don't, then I think it's really easy to get swayed by other people's view of life or other people's way of relationships or whatever it is. Like that can rub off on you very easily. But if you really understand that person and why they're doing it, I think that can make a big difference to you supporting them in why they're doing it.
Thank you.
Oh my God, this holding hands thing.
And we had to, realize, and I really appreciated that from her. Like I really valued that because it wasn't about seeing something as less. It was about seeing something as a priority for me.
Yeah.
And having someone who understood that and trusted me and allow me to have that space strengthened us. And we also very quickly became a team. Yeah. So when it came to our families or like demands, and for anyone who's from an Asian family or an Indian family knows that
it's a big deal.
It's a big deal. Yeah. Like family is a big deal and it gets very involved in a relationship. And I remember saying to her really early on, I was like, it's me and you, like we're a team, like it's us. And we have to think like that because we've got to wake up next to each other every single day of our lives. We've got to go to sleep together with each other every day of our lives. We've got to be in each other's face and space every single day, each other of our lives. So it's us. We have to be a team. And then very quickly, like I found that when it was anything to do with my family or my commitments, etc., then I would have her back. And then whenever she was anywhere and it was about me, she would have my back. And that built like a really strong bond early on.
Yeah, for us. I agree. I completely agree. And even if we wanted to discuss it between us and we had a different opinion to the other person, at least to the like people that we were speaking to, if we had each other's back, the other person felt supported and comforted by that. Whereas I feel if you're, it's just so hard to fight that battle between the person that you love and like the people that you've spent your whole life with. But I think when you know when you understand the reason behind it, I keep coming back to that, but I really think it makes such a difference.
Yeah.
I remember earlier on in our relationship when we were talking about spending time with each other's family or even each other, you said something to me which has stuck with me for a really long time,
I'm scared
till
now.
now. No, it was really good. He was saying how, we can spend so much quantity of time with people and it can be spent doing so many different things. You're with each other, but you're actually doing like, okay, you're watching a film or you're on your phones or you're spending the whole day together, but how much are you actually interacting with each other? And so I really loved that he would always choose quality time over quantity. So even if he's spending a short amount of time with me or my family or my friends, he would always make sure they've got his full attention. Like he would really make them feel, and he genuinely felt that way, that he was investing his full self into that moment. And I think that makes such a difference. And I never understood that at the time because it was always like, when you're spending time with family, it's just family time. But it really made me think about how I spend time with people rather than the amount of time I spend time with people. And as I've seen you do that while we've been together, I just think I've noticed how much people appreciate your full attention and how deeply you connect to them even in such a short space of time. Whereas I've been like the type of person who can spend an hour with someone and my mind can be somewhere else. And it's a training. No, it's a training thing, definitely. And I've learned that from you. But it's an incredible quality to have, to be able to invest your full self into a conversation or a person. And that's why it's actually really annoying, but he remembers everything. Like he remembers everybody's name, everything I said like 5 weeks ago, everything I was wearing. Like it's an amazing quality, but it can also be very annoying because I don't have that memory. So he's like, no, you said this like 3 weeks ago. It's like, no, I didn't. But I don't have like a book that I write things down in, so I have to take his word for it. But
5 almonds a day, guys. 5
almonds, yes.
As my mom would tell me. But no, thank you. I really appreciate that.
I remember really that from quality time.
And she'd always make an effort and this is where it comes to using your skills and talents. Like she'd always make an effort to like cook amazing stuff for my family. I remember when you made my sister a minion cake for her birthday.
That took me a day and a half.
And it was
so worth it.
Like it looked so good. Like and I love minions too. So it was so cute. And my mum still remembers the first torte you ever made.
When I first came over.
Brought it over when you first came over. And it's those things. So, using your talents, using your skills, and people appreciate that even more than like taking a week or taking time, like she's saying, like quantity, but the quality of a thought. Yeah. Right. Even when people say like it's the thought that counts, it's not. It's the quality of the thought that counts. Like that's where we make an impact in people's lives. Third topic that our friends want us to discuss is love languages. and realizing and recognizing our own love languages and the love languages of someone else. So if you don't know what the love languages are, it's a great book by Gary Chapman. I've made lots of videos on it. So there are 5 love languages, and the 5 love languages are quality time, touch, words of affirmation, acts of service, and gifts. So all of us have multiple love languages, but we have a priority, a hierarchy order, and we both mostly value 1 or 2 as our top love languages, and everyone has them. So you can think about yours as well. This was an interesting lesson for me in relationships.
It took a while for us to get there.
Yeah.
Definitely took a while.
It did.
And we got it really wrong for a long time. Like it was definitely been a journey for sure. Because you always end up trying to give the person what you want. Like it's such a natural thing.
She's stealing my points.
Oh, sorry.
No.
I forgot it's your show.
No, it's your show.
Yeah, no. I was just saying that I'm just thinking about it back because I'm thinking about all the things I got wrong. But it's so easy to always want to give other people what you love receiving or what you love doing for that person. Like, and I feel like your love languages can be different in what you like giving to other people and what you like receiving from other people. Like I love cooking for people and I really appreciate a good meal, but I wouldn't necessarily say that that's my way of showing love. It's not necessarily my way that I feel love given to me. And yeah, I think it took a lot of trial and error.
Yeah.
It was a serious experiment going on for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Until...
And she's holding back right now, but literally Radhi is hilarious. Like she's the funniest person I know. She makes me laugh the most.
Yeah, I'm a bit nervous right now.
And when she's getting into it. She's getting into it. You just need to go find some stories on Instagram. But when I first met her, and when you see her, you're like, oh, she's an elegant.
Oh yeah,
elegant, graceful young woman. And I was just like, okay, so maybe she likes grand gestures and elegant, posh places. Like that's what I thought. And this just shows us how the media makes us assume what people like, or we, based on how someone appears, we assume what they like. And so that's what I did. I got it completely wrong. And I remember organizing our first date. We went to watch a theater show, which was actually really fun. And then we went to this restaurant that I booked. And this restaurant's called Locanda Locatelli.
Which he must have tutored for about a month to afford that one day date, literally.
Yeah, it was expensive. And this restaurant is highly in demand, David Beckham goes there, and it's one of these very posh, very grand restaurant. And I thought that's what I needed to do, and I was totally wrong. We sat there. She looked so uninterested in this space.
And I had to wear heels, and I don't wear heels.
Yeah.
Literally, it was I was in a dress I wouldn't normally wear because I thought that's what he wanted. So I was literally in a dress that a really girly dress which I wouldn't normally wear, and heels which I normally wouldn't wear. And so we were both sitting in this restaurant. And I was really hungry at the end of it. And I said to him at the end, I was like, look, even if you just take me on a walk in a really good supermarket, or what do they call it here? Grocery store?
Yeah,
grocery store, supermarket. I was like, that is the most epic date you could take me on. Get me a few treats from from the shelves. We'll go down the gluten-free vegan aisle. That would be the best date. And so after that, I think you kind of started understanding.
I think I still got it wrong a few times. I think it was just, and this is my point. We all get stuff wrong because of previous experiences, the media, what we think, all that kind of stuff. And I got it wrong for a while because I just kept thinking of it. And then I was like, okay, she likes food. Okay, then I had a moment where it's oh, she likes food. So then all I did was buy her cards with food puns and food jokes.
Which I really liked.
And then we only went to food places for all our dates. So I was starting to get closer.
You did. You took me on a date where we went cooking at a Jamie Oliver thing.
Yeah, that was really good.
That was fun.
Oh, yeah, that was a good day.
Yeah, you did good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it did take a lot. And even when and he's a gifts person.
Yeah, so I'm gifts and words of affirmation.
And I think I'm definitely words of affirmation and quality time, maybe?
Yeah,
quality time. Do you like quality time? I think that they're my two.
Yeah, so go.
And yeah, what was I saying?
You were saying you like gifts.
Yeah, so I'm not so much of a gift person. I don't think I ever really have been. Even on my birthdays and stuff, all I really remember growing up is my dad would just take a day off and spend that time with me. And I used to just love that aspect of it rather than the gifts. I do like gifts, but they're just not my main thing. And so I was trying to buy a gift for you, and he wanted an iPad type thing.
No, I wanted an
iPad. Okay, fine. I thought he wanted an iPad type thing. And so I was looking around.
You thought I wanted a tablet.
I thought he wanted a tablet. And so I was literally looking around for the best spec and like really, really good like details of whatever was good, and also good pricing. Because obviously like a good bargain is you need that if you're Indian.
Gujarati.
If you're Gujarati, you need a good bargain. And so I was looking around and I found this amazing Asus tablet.
What is Asus?
And Asus is a good brand, everybody. And so I thought, look, this looks like a really good one. Let me buy it. Got it, packed it up, gave it to him. I have never seen disappointment like so bad in my life from opening a gift, because when he says he wants a tablet, he wanted an iPad. And so I learned that he likes really like good quality, expensive gifts, which I probably still haven't got. Now I just tell him to buy his own gifts.
But last year, she organized the most incredible surprise birthday party. So I've loved surprises. And this is another thing about our childhood, etc. So I've loved surprises since I was a kid, because my mum would always surprise me on my birthday. And so I'd really encourage you to reflect on where your preferences and priorities and things that you love get, like, where does that come from? So for me, my love for surprises in life and in everything comes from my mum surprising me on my birthday. And I've never, as you grow up, surprises become harder and harder to do for people. And last year, she organized the most epic birthday surprise ever. So it happened 2 months after my birthday, so I was not expecting it at all. She told me she was like cooking and catering for a friend's event. So she was cooking this whole week, like working so hard on all of this stuff. And I was just like, how important is this friend? Because she was going through extreme lengths. And I was like, wow, like she's really dedicated to this friend. And that was cool. Like I appreciated it. And I was like, I love seeing her in her element and loving cooking for someone that she loves. And that was beautiful. And then I think I'm going to an event with my manager and my team the same night. So I'm like, oh, sorry, I won't be able to make it to your event, etc. Like I've got this, you've got that. Have fun. Like I hope it goes really, really well. And then I turn up, I open the door to this event, and it's like all of my friends from LA, like everyone that I love, everyone that really loves and believes in me, like they were all there. Everyone showed up. She made sure that literally every single person that I care about was there.
I was like a stalker girlfriend looking through his phone at everyone that he mentioned. I'd be like, let me find that person's number. Let me get that person's email address. Yeah.
And literally it was genuinely after my wedding, after that, the best thing that's ever happened to me. Like it was that good. It was just amazing. Like it was the most beautiful event. It was really heartfelt, really meaningful. We had an illusionist. I love magicians and illusionists.
Yeah, you do.
I had an incredible show. We had an incredible DJ playing violin to some of my favorite songs. All my favorite people were there from LA specifically because it was in LA. And I was just so blown away. Like genuinely, I was like speechless for the first time in my life because she'd completely outdone any expectation I could have ever had.
Which was the hardest thing ever for me, because it was the first time I wanted to show him that I really understood his love language, and also like the effort that you go through to make something like that happen. One, I had no idea until I actually started going through it. And usually I would get to a point where I would find like a obstacle and I'll be like, you know what, I'll just take him somewhere instead. Like forget it, I don't need to do this. But he puts in a lot of thought into a lot of the dates that he plans. And so I really, really wanted to show him that I really understand it, and like that I've observed things about him, and I really notice what he loves and appreciates. And so it was the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life. Like it was so hard. I'm not a planner. I'm not good at organizing. I'm just, it's not my, like, I wouldn't say it's my top 3 skills. Let's just say that. But I was just so happy that I did it and it was genuinely like the love that I have for him is the only thing that got me through it, because otherwise I would have just basically never called me for party planning. Never. I'm
so blessed to have her in my life and she cooked for everyone too. So
I did, yeah.
She cooked for everyone. She organized the event. There were like 80 people there. It was amazing. And I'm so grateful to you for doing that. Like literally it was the best thing.
I'm glad you liked it.
Could have ever.
Thank God, because imagine you hated it.
No, I loved it. It was amazing. And yeah, it was incredible. And it just shows like we've been together now for nearly 6 years.
Yeah.
And it takes time to learn about each other. It takes time to grow each other. But the point is, are you waking up enthusiastic and energetic every day to fall in love with that person again? Like that's the question you have to ask yourself. Like, are you looking for more reasons to get that person to change for you, or are you looking for more reasons to be like, no, I want us to fall more in love. I want us to learn about each other. I want to give more to you every day. I want to be better for you every day. Or are you looking for how that person can be better for you? And if it's the other way around, then most likely that relationship's not going to last too long, or it's going to be very one way. But if it's like, how can I be better for that person every single day? And it may take time, and it has taken us time to completely understand each other more, etc. And we've been through a lot, and I want to get to that as well. But that, you know, it takes time, and it's okay as long as you're waking up every day with that intention, with that motive, with that desire.
Yeah, I definitely think it's about what you feel you're bringing to the other person rather than what you feel you can get from the other person. I think that makes such a difference, because
when both people do that.
Yeah, when both people do that, when you feel like, okay, well, this is what I can provide. Like, and I love what you say about everyone having different skills, because even in a relationship, I think we are very different in a lot of ways. In majority of the ways, we're very different.
I actually say we're totally different.
Yeah. And so instead of seeing that as things that are taking us apart from each other, I think we really tried to say, okay, cool, I love being in the kitchen, for example, and you're really good at doing all the math stuff to do with bills, and I really don't want to do that. And so instead of trying to be like, oh no, we should be equal in, like, you know, doing this and doing that, no, let's just play to our strengths. And I think that made a huge difference, because I didn't feel pressured to do things which I really don't feel comfortable doing. If I had to do them, I would have. But thankfully, we both kind of are good at areas which the other person is maybe not so good at.
Yeah.
And so we just played to our strengths, and we weren't annoyed at the other person for not being able to do those things. We just understood that we have skills in different areas, and we can contribute to the relationship with those skills rather than trying to be like all-rounders in all areas, which doesn't work for us.
And the key to that, I love that. And the key to that is valuing what the other person brings as equal to you.
As equal, yeah.
Right? So it's like, it's not saying, oh, if your skill is different to mine, but my skill does this, like my skill fulfills this, or my skill sorts this out, like that's more important. And I think that's where it gets hard, where we either try and equalize our skills, which I agree with you is not a good idea. It's good to play to your strengths. Or the opposite thing people do is they do their skill, but then they think their skill adds more value to the relationship. And I think that, again, just ruins it. Like, it's like you're on a team. Like, when you look at a sports team, one player can't say, I'm more important than the rest of the team. It's a team game. And I'm going to try and do a food analogy now. I'm trying to give a food analogy now.
Don't try.
Hear me out.
Okay, go.
Okay. Like, one ingredient can't be like the other ingredient. I'm more important than you.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
That's good. Yeah, because you need all of them.
Unless you're salt.
No, but still,
yeah, okay, fine.
Yeah,
I'll give you that.
You can't have one ingredient that's more important than the other ingredient, and
it's true. I totally agree. I agree. You did great. That was a great food analogy. But I remember this actually because I've been a housewife for a while. Like I stayed work from home, and I'm studying and stuff. So I remember
you work from home.
I work from home, but I'm more of a housewife than I am working. And I love that. I love cooking, and I love doing all the things that I do. But when we were in New York, I remember he was working at that time for Huffington Post. So he was out most of the day, and he would just come back in the evening. And he would come back, and I would have just finished cooking, and he would always be like, oh, like, can I do anything for you? Can I wash up? Like, you've been working hard all day. And that for me was such a big thing, because it's like, actually in my mind, it was like, he's been working hard all day, but he would come home and ask me if I needed a massage, or if I wanted him to wash up or do anything in the house. And like, a lot of people think that should just be a given. Like, oh, like, yeah, I've been doing the house stuff all day, so come home and you should be washing the dishes. But I just think, actually, if you see it, that's such a sweet thing for him to have done in my eyes, because he could not do that. We could all just not do a lot of things. But if we put in that extra bit of effort and show that person that I value you and what you're doing just as much as I value what I'm doing. Like, people, you know, going to work seems like you're going out and doing the hard work, but you also saw that I was doing the washing or the cleaning or the cooking, and you valued it in the same way as going to work. And I thought that was a really, that was a big thing for me. And he's been like that the whole time. So
no, I think it's the same. I think for me as well, like, she was so good at doing that. Like, she would put her heart into it, right? It wasn't just doing it. And I think that's the point here. It's not about doing the activity. It's about putting your heart into it. Like, it would always be like, oh, the other day, we just got back from India. And when I'm in India, I eat dosas a lot. Dosas are incredible. If you know what they are, if you don't know what they are, go get a dosa.
Yes.
And I love them. And I was literally just like, I miss dosas.
Every day, every morning. I was like, I miss having an Indian breakfast.
And the next thing I know, she ordered a dosa maker and we had dosas. And
it went terribly wrong, everyone. Terribly wrong.
but still, I loved it. Like it was,
Yeah.
it was the love in it. And I think that's the same, you know, she believes in cooking with devotion and seasoning with love. And for me, she lives that every single day. Like there's not a day when I don't feel like food is an offering of love. So then you can't help but value it. Like it's not hard. It's not hard to value her. That's what I'm trying to say.
Thanks.
But yeah.
This is getting a bit sweet, isn't it?
I know. Why don't you change it up?
Yeah.
I'm leaving it to you to make it funny. See, I'm the romantic in the relationship.
Yes.
She's the comedy.
This is always the case. Like his cards to me.
So this is a rom-com.
Yes,
But
this is
I'm
the rom-com.
Yeah.
His cards to me are like the sweetest, really genuine from the heart. And my cards are like funny, weird poems that are like, I really like your face. You don't know how to make cake. Like literally, that is what my cards were like. I think maybe 1 out of
She's not
15
lying.
cards were maybe somewhat like sweet and loving. But otherwise, yeah, I've always been the jokester, and you generally are the sweet one.
You are.
Yeah.
You are. There's a. I'm gonna live up to my romantic tag in this relationship. I always say this to her because I mean it, and it's. I don't know who said it, but it's beautiful, and it said that they said.
Oh
if
no! I know what he's gonna say.
They,
Everybody cue the romantic music.
and the tissues.
And the
Someone get the
cheese.
tissues out.
Anybody need
Someone get the
cheese?
cheese board out.
Yeah.
If you, they said, if you want her to fall in love with you, you have to make her laugh. But now every time she laughs, I'm the one who falls in love.
And I'm pretty sure that's from a grime artist in London in some sort of a rap song.
It's great though. It means
Yeah.
it's such a beautiful. Anyway, I love
It is
it.
I really like it.
Topic number 4. What's your favorite thing to do together? So our friends wanted us to discuss. This is easy.
What's our favorite thing to do together? Eat.
No.
No, sorry, that's my favorite thing to do.
Yeah, no.
What's our favorite thing to do together?
I had an easy answer for this. This is obviously
Oh,
difficult.
okay. I like, what do we like? What do we like to do together?
Mine was activities and experiences.
Oh, I thought it was like a specific one.
No, like activities.
Yeah,
and
we
experiences.
love doing that. Like escape rooms, and we went to a virtual reality escape room
That
the
was
other
really good.
day.
You organised that, yeah.
We went on a hike.
You got a hair in your.
Oh, thanks. We go on hikes, and we just love doing experiences. You're right, experiences and activities.
Yes.
We do try and do we've gone through the thing of where we try and go shopping together or movies and stuff, but we generally find we have a lot more fun when we're doing activities where we're contributing to something together.
Yeah. Like one of the first dates we went on was Go Ape. And so for anyone who doesn't know what Go Ape is like a assault course, but in the air.
Yeah,
so
that was
you're like
so fun.
swinging around. It's like Tarzan kind of stuff. And we loved it because
Yeah.
it was just like, it was active. We were both doing stuff together, helping each other out. We love escape rooms, even though there are times, I think we've evolved.
Yeah, like the first time I went on to an escape room with him, I was like, we are never doing this again, because I'm so relaxed and
I
I'm
like
just
winning.
like, oh, if we win, it's fine. If we don't win, it's we participated and that's what counts.
Yeah, I'm like, no.
And he's like, come on, we have to do this. Get over there.
I'm not angry.
You're not angry, but you're like very enthusiastic. And so I'm sitting on the chair, like we're meant to be escaping a prison, and I'm just sitting there with like a hammer in my hand, and he's like looking around everywhere trying to search for it. He's like, why are you not helping?
And then the trap door opens because she like by
Yeah, and I
mistake
get it right anyway,
she
just by
she
being
gets right
chilled
in.
out.
So now I've realized, trust her. So we did that recently and I trusted her.
And it was good, and I actually got quite...
You did well.
Yeah.
You did well. We enjoyed it. It was
We
a lot of
did. That
fun.
was
But
really fun.
Activities and experiences, getting outdoors,
Yeah.
doing stuff together, solving puzzles, something that engages us in talking, discussing, achieving something together is a great date.
Yeah. we
Like
do
achieving
doing
something
that.
together when we went for that cooking class, for example, like we cooked a meal together. Like that was fun, and then we ate it. When you create together,
Yeah.
it's such a special experience.
Yeah, that's so true, actually.
And I think that more of us should find time with our other halves, or even people who are dating or getting to know, to create together.
Mm-hmm.
You just learn more about the person. It's so much quicker, so much easier.
We've also started spending a lot of time because of how our schedules work. Sometimes we end up just spending time together where we're just catching up and talking, which actually is quite nice, because we didn't used to do that. And I think that used to get us to a point where we felt like we maybe didn't know each other as well as we wanted to, or understand each other as well as we wanted to. But now we do take out time to just, like catch up and ask the other person about what's going on. Me more so than him. He used to do this anyway. But I now am asking a lot more questions, and we really try to invest our interest into the other person, which is great.
Yeah, and we love meditating together.
And we love going to get vegan donuts together. Yes.
So, yes, that's true. So I'm going to go to meditation
Okay, fine,
first.
yeah.
But literally when we met, I used to teach her philosophy and meditation, and I
Yeah.
say this all the time. She's now a better meditator than me. She's more serious, she's more focused, she's more sincere, she's more devoted. It's amazing. Like, being able to have that in my life is so powerful. And that I put above anyone bringing in conscious, spiritual intention and energy into a relationship. That's above someone bringing money. That's above someone bringing anything else. Like, that's just the most powerful thing that you can bring into a relationship, because it's helping you eternally. It's helping you for the rest of your life. And I think it's undervalued of how much bringing positive, beautiful, spiritual energy is into a relationship. And you've been doing that since day one in our relationship. Like, she literally, for the first few years we were dating, she was like waking up at 4 a.m. and going to meditate with the monks every morning, right? Like with the community. And she did that like while she was working a job, while she was planning our wedding, while she was working at the hospital, etc., and all the rest of it. And so I feel that you've prioritized your spiritual practices so highly, and I love you for that. And it's made such a difference in our relationship. And for me, it's like, what can I do to let you keep having that? Like, what can I do to keep letting you be that light in our life? Because that's something that you can't buy. Like, you can't buy that anywhere. You can't just make that happen anywhere. And I value that more than any other contribution.
And
That's
I learned
the
it
best
all from
gift.
him, so. I did. I actually learned it all from him. Like, him and my mom have been like the two, and my grandma, they've been the people who have really been the key factors of spirituality in my life, and obviously my spiritual teacher too. But yeah, he has really shown me what leading a spiritual path and really focusing on it, what you can actually become from it. And I think that's a great motivation, because all the qualities and everything that he is now that's positive has come from the time when he was a monk. I think, would you agree?
100%.
Yeah. And I just really feel that seeing someone live it after they've really gone through an intense period of being in a spiritual mindset, in an intense spiritual mindset for that longer period, I really see those qualities in him day to day, and how he reacts to things day to day is the product of his hard work that he's put in during that time. And I think that's a great motivation for me, because I'm just like, well, I want to see life in that way. Like, I want to see situations in that way, or react to people in that way, or interact with people in this way. And I think everything has been from that time in your life. And so, yeah, I really think he's been a great inspiration for me in that area. And I just know that that's what brings me the most happiness. And when I don't do those practices, I know it's every part of my life suffering. So I know that if I really feel like I'm not dedicating enough time to my spiritual practices, then I'm a lot snappier with you, and I'm a lot like my relationships suffer, my quality of like the rest of the day just doesn't feel like it's got as much quality as it could have. I haven't got the most out of the rest of my day because I haven't prioritized my soul and like my connection to God at the beginning of the day. And for me, that's so important. And so yeah, I think it definitely does impact relationships, my relationships around me, if I don't have that in my life consistently and with quality. I think it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, it's like your relationship to your spiritual practice is the most important relationship.
Yeah.
And because of that relationship being right,
it filters into everything else completely. How I feel in my spiritual practice is how I end up feeling towards other people around me. And so if I don't feel like I've put my best into that, then I know it filters through everywhere else. And I've observed that in myself. And so I think for the sanity of everyone around me, I have to make sure I do it too, because it's not just me, it affects everybody I come into contact with, because I'm a product of that, I feel. Yeah.
Do you want to add anything on that?
No, I think I'm good.
No?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next thing is, what's your favorite thing about each other?
I feel like we've said it enough now, you know?
Yeah?
No, I'm joking. Oh, no, I'm joking. We can.
Yeah, we've said a lot.
I have to say one thing. I want to say one thing. I think one of my the favorite thing about you is how you see things, how you see situations. Like, they say that with a monk mindset, you should be able to see things it's called, what's the word?
Equipoised, equilibrium.
Equipoised,
equanimity.
yeah. Equanimity, yeah, I always get that word wrong. So whether something goes bad or something goes good, you're able to have a very like neutral mindset to that situation and not get too excited when things go really, really well and not get too sad when things get really bad. And I think from all the ups and downs that we've been through, whether it's with your career or whatever it's been, every time something goes wrong, even if like you miss a plane, whatever it is, he never gets to a point where he's like, oh my gosh, this is the worst thing ever, which is my usual reaction to, like before would have been my usual reaction to things. He is always just like, it's just part of the plan. Like this just makes the story so much better. And I just really appreciate that because it's made me not overreact and made me see perspective in so many situations and made me realize that actually, yeah, like that quality of, and he doesn't get too excited. Anything good that happens, like whether he wins awards or whatever, like the coolest thing may happen and he never gets too excited. Like he appreciates it and he just, you know, in his mind, he prays and offers it back to his spiritual teacher. And I just think it's such a deep practice to have, to not get too excited and bask in your success. Is bask the right word?
Yeah.
Yeah. And not be too sad and like kind of sit in your sadness for too long. And I think he really has that great balance of being able to snap out of things and seeing things. He doesn't even have to snap out of it. He just doesn't see it in that way. Like he's trained his mind to see things in a way where everything is just part of the journey and nothing is up and down, up and down, up and down. It's all quite like a little wave rather than like a tide. So yeah.
Thanks. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
And hers is so easy. Anyone who's met her already knows this. Literally, like every one of my friends I introduce her to, they fall in love with her and become best friends with her. And then I'm third wheeling all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And I love that. Like it's the best feeling in the world that everyone I introduce her to or everyone she meets, she just has this pure, genuine light. And all I'm like in life is like, don't screw that up. Like, don't mess that up. Like let her be that light. Like, just let her be what she is. And, you know, how her parents have raised her, like how her grandmother's had an impact on her, like everything she has, like her spiritual teacher, her spirituality, everything that she has, like it's so pure and genuine and full of love. Like I always tell her she's like the best person I've met. And I just want, you know, I just want everyone to experience that. Like I want everyone to experience that. And that's partly why we're doing this podcast, is because I want everyone to experience that. There are people in the world who just have no agendas, that are love, that are being love at all times, that don't have any like negative motive towards anyone or don't want to have like envy or jealousy or bring someone else down to feel better. And I think she has that in abundance. And everyone feels it. Like as soon as she walks into a room, she lights it up with her presence and energy. And that doesn't mean like being the loudest person in the room. She's rarely that. It doesn't mean being the most talkative person. It just means being that energy. And I know all of you who know her know that and feel it. And I get to feel it every day. So,
I mean,
yeah.
I don't think that's true, but thanks. I do love, I've just realized, I've been through so many ups and downs of my own journey of, you know, jealousy and whatever it is, and not being that person for people and not being someone who can who can be the joy for somebody else. But going through that and coming out the other end through a lot of journaling, I've talked about this before, and a lot of introspection, I just realized I actually get so much more joy out of being other people's joy. Like I love making people laugh. I love making people feel loved, and I love making people feel like they're cared for and looked after and whatever it is. I love, and I've realized actually it's more of a selfish thing because I love doing that for other people. I get the joy out of it. And so, yeah, I think if you can light up someone's life in some small way or like make someone laugh, you just never know what they're going through. And so I just think it's such a sweet thing to share and give out to someone. Like you can give a lot of things out, but if you're able to give love and happiness to someone in a small way every single day, like it's such a beautiful, it's a gift. Like it's such a sweet gift to give out to people. So I'm grateful that I'm able to do that for you sometimes and for other people.
Thanks for giving.
Sorry guys, I do an American accent whenever I'm like, it's probably the worst American accent that you guys have heard, but I do accents, yeah.
I love her accent.
Yeah.
Because I'm terrible at them. They're fun. Okay. Next thing is, do you fight, and how do you deal with that conflict?
Yeah, we fight.
Yeah, we fight.
Yeah, we do fight. But I mean, I have to say fights don't last that long with us.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's probably the key thing. Like we have been through, especially when we weren't understanding each other's love languages, especially when I wasn't understanding him more so than the other way around. When we argued, my thing would be shutting down and not wanting to speak about it, and like not communicating and not answering phone calls. And for him, it would be like, no, I want to talk about it and I want to get through it, and let's really discuss everything. And at the time, it just felt like, for me, I was like, no, I need space. But the more I've accepted the way that he likes to resolve things, the more I realize that actually makes so much more sense. Because yeah, you may need space for a short period of time, but unless you talk through it and process it together, you never get over that. And then it's brought up in the next argument, and the argument after that, and the argument after that. Whereas if you're able to really sit down and work through whatever, even if it's a really small issue, like picking your shoes up from in front of the door, which is something we've spoken about a few times, but even if it's something as small as that, just discussing it and explaining, okay, fine, this makes me feel like you don't value me because who else are you expecting to pick up those shoes? For example, it's a mutual thing. I leave my shoes there too. But I'm just saying, even if you break it down to that level of saying, actually, it's not the action, it's what I feel you're thinking when you're doing that action. And so it usually isn't the action. It's usually not what the person's done. It's usually how it makes you feel from that person's action, if that makes sense.
That makes loads of sense. Great point.
And so I think breaking it down to that level of the feeling you're getting from that person by him doing that or by her doing that actually resolves the issue so much faster. And that has been completely you, because he really, we've never slept really on an argument. We've at least discussed it before, and I really, really believe in that. I heard it so much, but the more we've argued and the more we've resolved it before we've gone to sleep, like the next morning we are fresh and ready to go, like nothing's happened. And not because we're ignoring it, and not because we're pretending like it didn't happen or we've brushed it under the rug, but because we have really talked about it and tried to understand it from each other's point of view. And I really think that's made such a big difference to the way we argue.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. That's such an important point. I think the point around, it's not about the action that hurts, it's about how that action makes someone feel is so much more important. Because sometimes I'm doing something really small and I'm getting it wrong, but I'm like, oh, it's so small. But then she's like, no, it's big. And I'm like, well, how's it big? And then she's like, because this is how it makes me feel. I'm like, oh, that is big, right?
Yeah.
And then I have that moment of like, aha, like the penny drops, and I'm, oh, okay, it's big. It's not small again.
Because you're never really doing things to, like, it's not like you're doing it intentionally.
Totally.
And it's also understanding that aspect of it. Like saying that and always reminding yourself that if you know that person loves you, then they are never going to be doing things to intentionally like prod at you or intentionally make you feel a negative emotion. And if we are doing that, then we should be very aware of it. And sometimes saying things like remarks that are in a sarcastic tone or whatever, actually those things can build up and you feel like you're saying it in a jokey way. I used to do that all the time, saying things in like a sarcastic, funny way to try and get a point across to you. But now I realize that actually just asking you in a polite way, in a sweet way, in a loving way, can have so much more impact than me sarcastically throwing something in there. And yeah, so I think the way that we say things and the thought behind it actually makes such a difference. And now I know, like, whenever you do anything, even if it's small, when I process it in my mind before I say a lot of things to you, and actually it goes away because I'm like, I know the intention is not that. And if I do want you to do something, then I'll just ask you politely. And I've noticed the difference that it makes in the way that we speak to each other and when we think about it and process it like that, rather than just shouting out whatever comes into our mind. Like that's not going to help, like not being able to control what's coming out of your mouth.
Yeah. And anyone who says they don't argue isn't true. Like everyone argues. Everyone fights, everyone has disagreements, and they're good to work through, because disagreements usually just arise because we all have different upbringings. We all have different backgrounds. We're all raised differently. We're raised in different amounts of space. We're raised differently in terms of responsibility. And so now you're putting two different people with two different responsibilities together. And if you don't argue about it, you don't disagree about it, if you don't talk it out, then all you do, like she said, is you just end up living the same thing again and again and again. It's really important to draw boundaries as well, like recognizing like these are certain things that really annoy me. Like to say that when you first move in with someone. Yeah. These are the things that annoy me. Like these are my top 3 things that will get on my nerves. Like let's try and avoid that. And the other person gets to say the same. You're going to just avoid so much hassle rather than like thinking, oh, for the first week, it's fine. I'm going to do everything for that person. And then you end up feeling upset because they're not reciprocating or whatever. Just set your expectations, draw the boundaries, be really open and honest about what works for you and what doesn't.
Yeah.
And then figure out which parts you can help each other on.
Agreed.
So I'm going to ask you one more question for us. Then I want to talk a lot about you. So anyone who's watching or listening right now, if you've got this far, I hope you've enjoyed it. We've been introducing you to the world of us, but I really also want to introduce you to the world of my wife. She's incredibly talented. She's got so many great insights. I want you to learn about her and fall in love with her as much as I am. But before we do that, we take the last question. The last question is, how do you deal with my hectic travel schedule and,
I get asked that a
my
lot.
type of work?
Yeah. I think we've both been very independent people in our relationship. And I think when it comes to us being separate, like, it's just letting the other person get done what they need to get done. If I need to be away for work or you need to be away for work, I know it's not
We
that
both travel.
Yeah, I know that it's not that you want to be away from me or that I want to be away from you. It's that we need to get stuff done. It's not the end of the world. We love each other, but we also need to go and do what we love doing. And so when I can, I travel with you. But if I can't, I catch up with the stuff that I really need to get done that maybe I'm not able to do in condensed like time when we're together. And so I just use it as an opportunity to get those things done. And yeah, I just think we're really good at being independent and we're really good at being together. And I don't know whether that answered the question, but yeah.
No, and I miss her when I'm away from her. It's not like I don't miss her, and we both travel for work. So I can be away. I'm usually away for shorter stints more regularly, and she's away for longer stints irregularly.
Yes.
That's kind of how it works. So she could be away for like a month or two, but that happens like once or twice a year. And then I could be away for like 3 nights, but I do that regularly, like every month. And so we've both learned that we get more done personally, which is really powerful because you get to focus on what you're doing. I get to focus on what I'm doing. We miss each other more. So when we get back together, we're really excited to be with each other. So that adds another level of incredible beauty in a relationship. And the other thing is, I really believe that you have to be whole to then enhance each other in a relationship. I don't know if you want to talk about this. Like, you don't complete each other in a relationship. It's not half and half. It's whole and whole coming together. It's a full person and another full person filling each other up more and overflowing. It's not about I'm half full, you're half full, together we're full. Yeah,
or like I've got a part missing of me that I'm trying to fulfill from that other person. I don't think that works because it's unnatural to feel like this person's going to fill a part of you. Like, it has to be you being the whole person. Like you said, I just don't think we can expect another person to fill us or a gap in us. And I think that makes a big difference, definitely, of being apart from each other. And I also think that I feel like I want to say this too, that every relationship is so different, and I don't think that this would necessarily work for a lot of people or a few people, but I don't think it would necessarily work for everybody. And some people really need that time where they're with that person all the time or messaging that person all the time, and that's totally fine.
Absolutely.
But when I speak about our relationship, I just always feel like I make it clear that this is just works for us. This works for us and it's great, but I don't think that it necessarily works for everybody out there, and I don't think what works for everybody out there is going to work for us. And I think that's a big deal, because I think we look up to different couples, or you see people in your life, your friends, and how they are in their relationship, and you kind of see things that you may want in a relationship, and you think that that's what you want, but you never really know until you're in a relationship with somebody and you notice how you both complement each other, because their qualities are completely different to your qualities. And so, I just want to add that, because it works for us, but I don't think it's necessarily going to work for everybody out there.
And there's foundational things in relationship and there's flexible things. Foundational stuff is like respect, like appreciating each other's values, appreciating each other's goals, understanding each other's backgrounds. Like, those are foundational things. Like, that applies to every relationship under the sun, like no matter which relationship you're in, including friendships, parents, everything. Yeah. And then there's flexible stuff like this, which can't be forced into everyone. Like, how you should deal with being apart, how you should travel, schedules, like all the kind of functional stuff. That is not a thing that there's a right or wrong way. Yeah. The foundational stuff, there is stuff that works and there's stuff that doesn't. The flexible stuff is adaptable, is different for different people. Exactly what you said. Amazing. So now I want to move into what I'm really excited for all of you to hear. I hope that gave you a big insight into our relationship, our life. We got married, I didn't mention this, but we got married in 2016,
Yeah.
April.
23rd. Yeah.
That's good.
I remember it.
Yeah. And we've now been together for nearly 3 years.
Wow, yeah.
It's been incredible being married, and I'll come back to that as well. But I really want you to hear about my wife's incredible insights, especially because they're so related to health, right? Mental, physical, personal well-being. And she's definitely someone who lives and breathes what she shares. It's not just stuff that she talks about. I've actually probably never seen someone who's practicing what they preach as much. And so I'd love for you to hear these insights. So I'm going to ask you a few questions, Radhi. My first question for you is, how did you fall in love with food?
How did I fall in love with food? I've always been a big foodie. Growing up, I was fairly overweight until the age of about 15.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, about 15. Probably started losing weight around the age of 16. But yeah, I grew up always loving food, always loving carbs. Like I loved bread and all the things I probably shouldn't have. And my mom was actually a personal trainer. My mom was a fitness instructor, so she had like slick abs, like growing up. I was never really bothered by my weight until I went to school. And yeah, long story short, I loved food from being younger. My mom is an incredible cook. My grandma's an incredible cook. My sister's also an incredible cook. I've been surrounded by great cooks my whole life. And so my mom would always make beautiful food from around the world. Wherever we traveled, she'd always bring that home with us, and she'd make wonderful dishes. And so, yeah, I think being spoiled by that, when I was younger, I grew up with a really unique taste in food because I'd experienced so much growing up. And then my mum actually suggested I go into doing nutrition and dietetics at college or university. And I did that, and that's where my love for nutrition grew. Like I absolutely loved understanding the qualities of food and how they can affect our bodies. And I never really was into conventional medicine. Like I never liked taking anything for my body. I really, really believed in how natural things or foods and plants can really change the way that our body reacts to things or disease or health conditions. And so that's where my love for nutrition grew and food. And then I came across Ayurveda, and I actually don't know how. It must have been, I don't know how I came across it. I actually can't remember. I know my biggest exposure to it was when we moved to New York, but that was pretty much encompassed everything that I ever thought like everything I wanted to believe in. It had that in one science. And Ayurveda is actually, Ayur means life and Veda means knowledge. So it's literally the science of life. And it encompasses mind, body, and soul. And it really believes in the mind-body connection, but also completely believes and has solid science behind how food and the qualities of the different foods and how they can affect your body and how they can be healing and how they can be medicine or they can be toxins. The same food can be that for different people. And I love it because it's so individual and so personalized that our bodies are so different. Your body will react to a tomato completely differently than mine would. And so I really appreciate that because every single body is so unique. Like you can't have the same medicine for one person as you do for thousands and millions of people out there. It just doesn't make sense. Our genetics are different, our body's makeup is different, our elements in our bodies are different. And so Ayurveda really encompasses all of that. And so that completely grew my love for food and healing of food. And yeah, I've always believed in, we always talk about how love, the mother's love, like mother's cooking is the best because of the love that she puts in it. And in Ayurveda, it really believes that the consciousness, and this is one of the things that I loved most about Ayurveda, it talks about how the consciousness that you cook in or the consciousness that the food's been made in actually gets infused into that person. And so however that person's, everything that we're cooking with is living. Like every fruit, every vegetable, it's a plant. It grows. It has living cells, and so it takes in our energy. And so whatever energy you're putting into that food while you're cooking it is what the other person is digesting and eating. And so I thought that was such a beautiful aspect of it because you can change how a person feels through the energy that you're putting into even their food. And so my love for food grew even bigger after hearing that. And yeah. That's how I fell in love with food.
That's awesome. I love that. And it's been fun watching you fall more in love with food and Ayurveda. Tell the audience about like a few simple well-being tips for the day. So whether it's food or whether it's essential oils or whether it's anything in your life that you add, split them up. So tell me 3 simple tips that people can do daily with their food. Let's start with that. Or
With food.
With food, yeah.
Simple tips, I would say have 3 meals a day, but your largest meal should be in the afternoon. Our body is in sync with nature, and so when the sun is at its highest, in Ayurveda they believe we have a digestive fire in our stomach, and so when the sun is at its highest is when our digestion is the strongest, and so that's when we should. It's when the nutrients are assimilated into our bodies a lot better. When the food is broken down so much faster and efficiently, and so if we're able to eat our largest meal in the afternoon, our heaviest meal in the afternoon, then that's actually a lot more beneficial to our body. And having our lightest meal in the evening, because this is the second tip now. Yeah, number 2. Have your lightest meal in the evening because 1, your quality of sleep will be so much better. Your body's not trying to work while you're sleeping. When you sleep, you want every part of your body to be relaxed and every part of your body to feel like it's getting the rest to rejuvenate and to replenish for the next day. And so if you're able to have a meal that's much lighter, like soups or even a smoothie, then your body's able to rest, and your food is, a lot of food that's not digested turns into toxins in your body. And so if your body's trying to shut down and you're still putting lots of food into your body, it actually ends up turning into toxins. A lot more toxins are produced if you're digesting food overnight. And number 3, drink lukewarm water. Never drink ice water. Ice water or really, really cold beverages actually dampens your digestive fire. And so you kind of want to drink drinks which are either room temperature or warm. Warm drinks and hot drinks really stimulate a lot of things in your body, but really keep your body purified and help with toxins elimination in your body as well. So those are my 3 tips.
That's great tips. Yeah. And that's so important because I feel so many people eat really late and then go to sleep straight away.
Yeah.
So it's like a lot of people eating at 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m. and then going to sleep straight
to
away.
Sleep, yeah.
Or sleeping after midnight, obviously. But you're actually saying we should eat less in the evening.
Yes.
And then, of course, you believe in sleeping early.
Yes, definitely.
But the point is, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Tell me some of the things that I wanted to talk to you about was around another few tips on well-being and wellness that you think would be useful to people.
Well-being and wellness. Okay, so I definitely believe in meditating early in the morning because, well, throughout the day, there are different energies that can affect you. And so in the morning, ideally before the sun rises, but before the sun rises is when you've still got the calming effect of the moon. And so your mind is a lot more rested. Your mind is fresh because you've just woken up, but also you haven't been affected by the world is still asleep. Like a lot of people are still asleep. And so you don't have that much energy around you. And so I feel if your mind is calmer and the sun hasn't risen, sun actually brings about the energy of doing and going and getting things done. Whereas before the sun rises, if you're able to meditate, then you actually will get a deeper, more focused meditation in the morning. Another lifestyle tip I'd give is using a tongue scraper. Like that is so important. In Western culture, it's not normal to use a tongue scraper. I don't know if anyone's seen it, but it's literally so simple. It's like a copper or a metal rod type thing, which has,
It's like a U shape.
Like a U shape that you can basically, you scrape off all the, it sounds gross, but you scrape off all the toxins off your tongue in the morning and in the evening. You can use it when you brush your teeth. And actually, if you end up swallowing those toxins, that can be the beginning of the toxins building up in your body. And so using a tongue scraper is an Ayurvedic must. Like you have to use a tongue scraper. You can get it off Amazon. You can get it everywhere. It's just a really simple thing to avoid toxins building up in your body. And did you say one more?
Yeah.
One more health tip or lifestyle tip I would recommend: sleeping early. There's so much normal science behind it, but even just to get a good amount of sleep before 12 o'clock. I've read so much about it, but it really does rejuvenate you. The quality of sleep that you get is so different compared to sleeping really late and doing it on a regular basis. It reduces your immune system. It makes you really groggy in the morning. Like, I find that and if I have too many late nights for a long period of time, it really affects my immunity. Like, I know I'm going to get unwell or I'm going to catch a cold. And so sleeping early is also, if you can, there are lots of people who can't because of jobs, but if you can sleep early, eat in the afternoon, wake up early, that's like the ideal situation. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, no, really practical tips. I think those are things that anyone and everyone can do.
Incorporate,
I love those because they're just so universal. Mm-hmm. It's not going to take someone a huge lifestyle change. It's not going to cost anything. No. Like, it's totally free to do all of these things. Yep. You don't have to learn a lot. Like, there's nothing to research. Like, and I know that you have, because you are a dietitian and a nutritionist by qualification and by going to university, etc. So I do know that everything that you speak about is highly researched and focused, but I love how good you are at making it so simple and so like easy to understand. And obviously, if you want more tips, etc., you can go follow Radhi after this and find out more about what she's posting about regularly. I want you to tell me about, why did health become so important to you? Because I know this for a fact, that I really always focused on my mental health and my mind. And for a long time, mastering my mind was like one of my biggest focuses. And that's where I spent a lot of my life. And when I married Radhi, she was very much focused not only on the mind, but on the body more. And when I say body, I don't just mean in looking aesthetically good. I mean feeling good, being active, being genuinely healthy beyond size or shape or any of that stuff. And that's really helped me in my personal life. I know for a fact that I eat better, I exercise more, I take care of myself physically because of you. Mm-hmm. And so I want you to tell me why you started to find health so important. And then I want you to tell me a bit about your perspective on body shape, size, and our addiction to looking a certain way as opposed to feeling a certain way.
Health became a really important part of my life because, I grew up fairly overweight. And at the beginning, it was a lot more to do with changing the shape of my body. I really wanted to lose weight. And at that time, I knew I didn't want to do anything too extreme. Like, I because I did my nutrition degree, I understood and I'd heard a lot about how yo-yo dieting can really affect your metabolism. And so for me, I didn't want to do the extremes of like eating barely anything to then trying to get back to a normal diet, which I know I've seen people that they've done that and it ends up making you put on even more weight afterwards and hard to lose weight after that. So I really wanted a healthy, sustainable way of doing that. And so at the beginning, it was at college and it was at university, and I started just cooking for me and my friends a lot at university because I lived out. And it was to be honest, I kind of just fell into it through the nutrition degree. I ended up learning a lot more about it. So I started cooking a lot more vegetables, and I grew up vegetarian. And so my diet was also predominantly based on lentils and pulses and vegetables and all the Indian spices and flavors. And so that's where this beginning of my health journey started, was to lose weight. And then, like I said, when I came into Ayurveda and I started understanding that, it just grew my passion for it a lot more. But the inspiration for it was definitely through weight loss, but I knew I didn't want to do it in an unhealthy way. And body image. I think that's something, growing up, I always thought that to be healthy, a good image of health was, my image of my own health was based on other people's body shape or body size. And looking around at everybody around me, I always used to think that, okay, for me to be healthy, I needed to be slim, like I needed to be very skinny. And as I've grown up and I've been through my ups and downs with my weight and with my journey of health, I really realized that actually I've got to this point, and when I feel the best, like my version of health is when my organs feel like they're working at its best, when my skin feels incredible, when my digestion feels great, when my hair, my nails, all the indicators that I feel represent good health, that I've learned is good health, when those things are happening, and also when my mind feels good. Like, when do I feel at my most comfortable? Is it when I have Is it when I'm a specific body shape, or is it when I'm working out and I feel great about it? Or am I struggling to get myself to the gym because of the goal that I have? Like, I feel fine if my goal is to lose weight, then for me, it's been really difficult to sustain it. And because I want to eat, like, I really enjoy eating. I really enjoy eating different foods and having a great balance in life. And so for me, it became more about how I feel and how my whole body feels in different ways, rather than it being an indication of different body sizes and body shape. And I mean, I love getting into shape. Like, I love working out, and it's part of my day, part of my routine on a daily basis. And I don't believe that either end of the weight spectrum is healthy. There are health conditions associated to both. But I have realized that body trends change all the time. Like, you know, there's going to be a different body shape that's in fashion next week and the week after that and the month after that and the year after that. But if I am constantly trying to change my shape according to that, I'm not sure that that's what health means. Like, there's so much more to what being healthy means than just body shape and body size. And so, yeah, I think that's what it means to me. I mean, I've struggled with it growing up, but at the moment now, after being through so much on that journey, I really feel like that's what health means to me. And that's where I feel the happiest, when I'm thinking about health in that way.
Yeah, I love that answer. It's so true. I grew up, because I grew up overweight as well, when I lost weight for the first time, I believed that being skinny or being slim was health. And then when I realized that it definitely wasn't, because I went through my own health challenges, I was just like, oh wow, like, health doesn't mean just not eating fatty foods, like, which is really as basic and simplistic as my knowledge was for so long. And so hearing you say that, obviously having you coach me in my life every day is amazing. I really value it. It's changed my life for sure in terms of how I feel and what I eat and what I do and how I use my time. So thank you so much. And definitely, if you follow Radhi afterwards, you'll find so many great insights and more expert thoughts and practices that I think are genuine and they're practical for all of us. And that's what I love about them. That what she's saying works for everyone. They're universal, and it's not about getting a specific goal externally. It's about getting a specific goal internally.
And I don't think there's anything. I think it's incredible if someone wants to change that. Like, I think it's incredible if someone has a goal of what they want their body to be.
Sure.
But all I'm trying to say is that I don't think just body shape is an indication of health, which
Correct.
I feel is seen as health in a lot of ways. Like, a lot of fitness pages or a lot of exercise pages, they show most of the body shapes are similar. They are in a specific form, in a specific shape. And I just think it's incredible how beautifully unique everybody's body is. And it's like, that is the beauty of the world, that everybody is so beautiful and everyone is so unique in their own way, that why should everybody be aspiring for the same body shape? Why can't we all have our own individual shape and that be the beauty of it? Because, yeah, like, trends change, like face trends change, body trends change, the way we speak changes, our slang changes constantly. I just think everything's changing so much that if we try and just focus on who we want to be and change according to our own motivation rather than other people's view or how we see other people, that will make a big difference to our mental state as well.
Amazing.
Which is a journey I'm still going on, guys. I'm kind of saying it for myself. It's a pep talk for me, but yeah.
Okay, so what we're going to do now to end this show, every episode will usually have a final 5, but we're going to play a little game where we're going to guess certain things about each other. So I'm going to give you this. If you open up to a
blank page.
If you open up to a blank page, take this.
I already know he's going to be better at this.
So these are going to be a list of questions that our friends have asked us to answer. We're both going to write down the answer and then we're both going to reveal.
Oh no.
So the first question we have to answer is Radhi's favorite movie.
Oh no. What is my favorite movie?
I know a few, that's what's hard.
Right, top 3.
Okay. Make it harder, why don't you?
Oh no, but there are lots of Bollywood films I like too.
No, Bollywood doesn't count.
Oh, what?
Okay.
No, I'm not done.
Oh.
I don't know what my favorite movies are. I forgot.
You can't play this game with Radhi because she'll forget what her favorite movie is. Or it will change on the spot. So I may fail at this, but let's have a go.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, go. What? Okay.
Yeah, we did it.
I got 2. I got 2 out of 3. That's not
Hitch,
bad.
but
Can you see that?
I watched it recently. I watched Hitch recently and I realized it's hilarious. I can watch it all the time.
Okay, so I got 2 out of 3.
I don't know whether Star is Born is going to be an epic that I will always remember.
Okay.
And A Little Princess, if no one's seen it, If anyone's not seen it, you have to watch it. It's
Okay.
like the sweetest film.
Nice. All right. The next question is Jay's favorite movie.
Oh,
Let's
yeah.
do top 3 as well.
Yes.
Go on.
What's that film called? The magician one?
I'm not going to tell you, am I? No, you can't copy
No,
me.
but I know the
You can't
name.
copy
I know
me.
the name. I just can't remember it.
My top 3 movies are the easiest thing in the world. No one talks about them more than I do.
Yes, I
I
know
just
this.
watched one of them on the airplane the other day.
I know.
Which I told you about. You copied me, didn't you?
No.
You did.
I didn't.
You saw my answers. Okay, 3, 2, 1.
That's what it's called, Prestige. I read the magic film, Inception, and watching me watch films.
I do love watching it. That's cute. I do love
But it's
watching it.
because I couldn't think of
So
another
The
one.
Prestige is the best movie of all
I
time.
got the
if you haven't
Prestige
seen
one.
it.
That was the magic film.
And Inception.
Yes.
Magic film does not count.
And watching me
And Dark
watch
Knight.
films.
I love the Dark Knight trilogy.
Yeah, okay. I knew
All
that.
the Christopher Nolan movies.
I actually knew that. I
Okay.
just not very good with names.
All right, next question is Radhi's favorite food.
Oh, that's a hard one.
I know.
That is a hard one.
Not.
Okay, ready?
1 second. Okay.
I'm not really playing the game. Hang on.
3, 2, 1, go.
My mum's food, Indian food, pizza and bread of any kind.
I was gonna write anything. I was
Fries.
gonna write anything green
Pizza
Indian.
and fries.
I was gonna write anything green Indian plus
My
fries.
mum's food is anything green.
You
so
literally
that's
love
right.
chips.
I do. I just forgot. Indian food, pizza, bread of any kind, and fries.
Bread. I should have. I knew that. I
Yeah.
messed up. All right. Okay. Next question. Jay's favorite food. So
Jay's
easy.
favorite food.
So easy. It's only one love.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Oh no! I thought we were talking about food, burgers and sausages and beans. You like
Yeah,
vegan
beans
sausages?
on toast and sausages is good, but
Oh,
this is my
chocolate.
one
Oh,
true love.
No, I didn't think we were talking
If I
about
could trade
sweet.
every food
Yeah, he
in the world.
literally loves chocolate. We're
Yeah.
not doing that great
This
right
is not
now.
so great. All right. What annoys Radhi the most? Oh, I know this. One second.
What in general?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But about me.
About you? Okay,
Yeah.
ready? 1, 2, 3, go.
She's at the door, yes.
We can do this. Well done.
All right.
She's by the door.
Okay, what annoys Jay the most about Radhi?
Yes. Okay, I've got this. Ready? Go.
3, 2, 1, go.
Changing conversation mid convo.
Oh no, timing.
Oh, timing. Yes, I am always late. If we ever go anywhere and we tell you that we were late and we make up an excuse, it's always because of me.
That's not true.
No,
Oh,
yeah, it's true. It's true. It's okay. I own
I know,
it.
yeah.
I own it.
Okay, next question is what is our favorite destination we've been to together?
Oh, that's a actually no, it's not that hard. India and Disneyland?
Indian Disneyland.
Yes.
All right. The last question. What are you excited about in your future together?
What am I excited about? What are we excited about? Ready?
Yeah.
Go.
3, 2, 1.
His crazy dreams, which always come true.
Being with you.
Oh, that's really cute.
All right. So that was the first ever episode of me interviewing my wife. We're going to do a lot more of this together, I think.
Okay,
I
cool.
had a lot of fun. I hope you all enjoyed it. I'd love for you to share your favorite tips, your favorite insights, your favorite things that you learned from this session or anything at all on Instagram. You can tag both of us. You're going to be seeing a lot more posts from both of us, doing a lot more content together as well. I'm so excited to share this part of my life with you. I hope you're excited to be on it with me. And I just want to take a moment to say this. I've literally taken her life on a crazy journey. And
true.
she's been the best, most supportive partner in the world. When we first met, she said she didn't want to live any further away than a 1 mile radius
Yes,
from her mum's home. Do you want to
I
say it?
did. Yeah, okay, I'll say it. You want to say it?
Oh, go on.
Yeah, I literally told him, I was like, okay, I really want to get married to you, but I really need to live not more than 1 mile away from my mum
And your sister.
and my sister. And so we ended up buying a house that was 1 mile radius of my sister and my mum. And then 3 weeks later, he told me we had to move to New York. So
Yeah. And so I agreed to it, first of all, but then I got this great opportunity in New York. We moved to New York.
yes,
We lived in New York for 2 years. Throughout that time, we bought a home, moved country. I changed job 3 times. and got married all in the same year in 2016. I had to move on from a job while we were together too. We were like 4 months away from being broke. Before I even started the whole media thing, I was rejected by like 40 companies.
It's been a journey.
It's been a journey. It's been incredible. We moved to LA around 7 months ago now. And it's been one of the craziest journeys of life. And I genuinely don't think anyone else could have tolerated it, accepted it, dealt with me, lived with me through any of it apart from her. And I just want to take a moment to just say, like, you're amazing. I don't know how you did it. I appreciate you. There's no other person in the world who could have done it. There's no other person in the world that I would love to do it with. So thank you for being
I feel the same way.
Thank you for being the best person in the world. I love you so much.
Love you too.
Thank you. Thanks for coming on the show.
It's all right. It was fun.